episode, LA Natives Podcast, Las Aslan Native Podcast. What's up, people? Before we move
Yo,
forward
yo,
into
yo.
this new episode, I just want to remind everybody Zero, every episode we get hundreds of views on YouTube, right? So, that being said, we all know you guys are paying attention. Please share the video, like the video, comment on the video, and most importantly, make sure double check that you're subscribed and let other people know to subscribe to this page, right, Zero?
Absolutely, because we're trying to get to 1,300.
That's right.
And
Thirteen
what
We're
up,
on
hundred.
our
what up,
way.
what up, Bialy to all my brothers and sisters out there and the LA Natives podcast community. So glad to be here again. Sharing time with you guys. But Armando's right. We have to get to a point where we're becoming a stronger community and sharing the information with everyone. And also, I encourage you to make reels on TikTok and on Instagram if you like little pieces that we said and good points that we made. I know Daniel comes with a lot of knowledge. It's time to share it in that way. We need to get to 1,300 so we can get to 5,200.
You have a point, Zero. Any fans, any listeners, any viewers that want to make their own shorts or their own clips,
Oh yeah.
email it to us, DM us, send us the Facebook message or the Instagram message, and we'll post it.
And tag us.
And tag us.
Just tag us on
We'll
that
post
post.
it and give you guys credits.
Absolutely. Just tag us.
In the
Tag us.
comments, they're saying they can't hear. They said the Zero's mic is kind of low.
Oh, damn.
Make sure that everything is.
Check.
Hey, that's a good idea, Armando, because
Thumbs up or no?
I saw a bunch of
Hold on,
people, a
hold
bunch of nurses today. They were striking in front of their
Check.
hospital.
Check.
You know.
Yo.
Yo.
All right, how we doing? Can they hear me? Is my
Audio
voice?
is low. Should we go back on?
Hold on. Check. 1, 2.
Now you guys are more audio.
Can you guys hear us now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What do you think, chat? Is everything good?
Oh cool. My mic's good. I think you guys are
Check. 1, 2.
Check. 1, 2.
Okay, so
Testing.
let me just
Set.
reset
Yeah.
the mixer one more
Hey,
time.
you guys are loud. Hey, so while my mic is good, I was gonna say I was driving today and I saw a bunch of nurses, picketing out in front of the hospital. And man, talk about Las Aslan. I think that's when I think about Las Aslan. I think about man, how just society's so lost today. How is it all the nurses are and their sign said, "Why are the nurses outside the hospital?" And it's like, man, that's a ding, ding, ding. So yeah, I hope that we, because I felt like, man, should I record this and because that's us, man. That's our cause. We come in all colors, all forms, and we stand for injustice because really, it's the colonized system is just the
Check. 1, 2.
seed of injustice.
Check. Daniel, can you hear us now?
I can.
Okay,
I
cool.
can hear you.
What's just going on? Yo, we just reset it.
We had to
our mixer.
reboot our whole thing, dude.
I don't
We were
know.
talking, but
We have a very important show today, and it seems like every time we have a great show, something goes wrong with this stupid software.
Hey,
We have to
damn technology.
restart the camera, but I hope you guys are patient with us.
They can't stop the sun.
Yo, let us know right now if the
Absolutely.
audio and video is good. Just give us a thumbs
us a
up or
thumbs
some
up in the-
fire
in the
fire
comments.
emojis.
check. 1, 2. This
Okay,
is-
HK said it's good now.
There we
Okay,
go.
we
Here we go,
There we
guys.
go.
So look,
Hey,
before we move
is
forward,
that higher knowledge? Is that you higher knowledge from Canada?
I believe so. So
yeah.
I just want to repeat myself. Moving
Fire.
forward,
So
guys.
I'll be going to Canada. We just finalized the final details of what I needed to get there. So we'll be going to Canada. So shout out to you, HK. Are
Yo.
we live already?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Oh,
we're live.
again.
So
Okay.
before we
Back
move
on.
forward, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video. Make sure you're subscribed and let homies know to subscribe. We're trying to get to 1K.
Yeah, and then maybe at the end of the podcast, HK, if you hang out, we'll put you on. Can you send him a link?
Absolutely. Anyone that wants to jump on, not just calling in, but if they want a video chat
Or maybe
with us,
just call in. Maybe call in.
Yeah.
Call in. HK. Call in, but later. But we're gonna go over the show first. We're gonna get started here with what we do. Trying to inform everyone as best as we can, and how important it is for you guys to do your part on getting this message out there by 1, subscribing, 2, sharing our YouTube page, or 3, making your own reels and tagging us
good.
so that we can follow. We can repost those. And if you want to contribute to our production side of things, send us what you think a reel should look like, and then we'll make sure to give you credit for that. This is all one community. you know,
That's
and we
great.
have
That's
to
a good
look that
idea.
way. We have to be that way. Look at the chat, man. It looks amazing right now. I'm
Absolutely.
honored to have any kind of an audience. Really, honestly, all of you guys in the chat. I hope one day I get to meet and shake your hand for your participation in the healing of our community. Everyone counts. Everyone's comment, everyone's disagreements, everyone counts.
And we have a very diverse audience too, right, Zero?
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's a lot of women in the audience too. So if a female feels like, you know, they want to participate in the show today, please feel free to call us and participate, because that's what we're doing here with LA Natives. We're not trying to be isolated, nor do we know the answer. The answer is our collective unity. That's our answer.
Absolutely. We're all learning and growing together as a family. So
And everyone has a piece. Everyone has a piece in a small way. Somebody's piece could be just listening, and then digesting it, and then implementing it into your community. You know, so that's what we're doing here at LA Natives, and we're trying to share whatever wisdoms and teachings that we have. That's why we have Daniel here, and Daniel's very wise in those areas. I know what I know, and I share what I share. But yeah, it's nice to be here once again, and it's an honor to be in front of the chat and them and sharing, you know, a little bit of time with each other.
We have an early crowd, Zero.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
mean, we've been loyal, man. Like I look at the numbers, and I'm humbled with the numbers. I don't need 300,000, although we want to reach that. You know, we have to reach that. When we reach that, the communication between communities is going to be really, really strong. And that's why I feel honored to be able to go to Canada starting April 11th, you know, and I'll be back on the 14th. But yeah, that's what we're doing. We're trying to unite our Turtle Island family without the hope of needing to be. We're just gonna go visit family and make connections, and
What we've
then
always done. We've always done that. We're doing what we've always done. We just do it in a different language.
absolutely. How you been, Daniel? You all
Man,
right?
I've been good, man. I have to say, I don't know if you guys been feeling it, but I love the sun, man. The weather lately has been really nice. Up here in the north, it's been real nice. And I do a lot of work. I work on it in the garden on Tuesdays. I go out and work on my dad's route, and man, it's so nice. Then I have some of the best customers too. I have good conversations with them, and I realize I'm very blessed because man, my passion's the garden, and I'm paid to do what I love. And then it's funny. I used to trip out when I was a little kid. I'd see always the customers talking to my dad, and I'd think, I wonder what they're talking about. And now I know.
Mm.
They're, hey, how are you? I have one customer that she's very religious, and she runs all the Easter stuff. So during this time of the year, she's very busy, and I just think, okay, man, I used to be very judgmental of people like that. And then I realized, you know what? She's a beautiful soul, man. And we're walking the same path, but hers is just called a little something different. But I always trip out because she's a woman and she's so like involved and very functional. And she's always talking about how the men are always dumb, and I just like, I laugh, because it's true, in that thing, it's like in that organization, it's not very, how do you say, the smart people don't run things, and so it's just interesting. But I really like her, and it's just the sun. We're out there, and it's just I feel like it is the new year. I feel like things are. I don't know. I feel positive for some reason. I don't know. I just kind of like I was young again. I don't know, it just feels nice.
Well, springtime kind of brings that kind of energy out, and that's what's cool about being able to be connected in the ways that we talk about on this show. You know, I experienced something this morning that was pretty profound. I can't, even to this moment, I'm thinking about it. I had to prepare myself my passport, so I had to get up early to get to the passport office.
Hmm.
And as I was driving, I saw the color of, obviously what I'm used to doing. I wake up at the time of dawn and I look at that color. And I realized something today. When I was doing it today, I saw the color and I was like, this is an interesting color. As the sun makes its way, it hasn't actually broken the peak yet this time. It's really yellow and it's blue and it's starting to get brighter and brighter. It's a very short amount of time. And I happened to be driving on the bridge and I looked to the right and the sun just peaked. It was just like perfect timing, it hit me in a way that was like so important. Like how we perceive time. Like for me, that moment, time started. The clock started right there, right when it peaked out. And it affected me in a way that said, you have now this amount of time to work on your dream. What kind of work are you going to do to progress yourself? We can't just think about it anymore. There has to be connections, and these connections come with these experiences. So this morning was amazing for me, being in that moment, and I feel like those moments happen because I take so much time, or I set aside time to commemorate time, like the Nemotemi. That's 5 solid days to commemorate the new year. That's being on time in that way. And then this year, there was a concert happening, and I felt like, but I need to burn a fire. I need to burn a fire. So what I did was I adjusted and I did it at sundown, but I still burnt that fire. Another commemoration of time. So I think time responds to those type of acts. And I feel like as we get deeper into the wisdoms of the knowledges that Daniel has and that I have and that other maestros that'll come from Mexico and teach us, we have to keep that in mind. Keep that connection in mind because it's a connection that you need to develop by yourself. Yeah, people are going to write books and you're going to see a maestro, but the connection is for you to develop. So every temescal that you get to go to, you know, the energies are a lot powerful, like Daniel was explaining. Man, I just feel something. I feel something. Yeah, damn right you feel something. The
Hey, but you,
time has shifted.
Ruben, I like what you're saying, dude. I was going to throw this out there because I think that sometimes we take it for granted what we know. And now that you mentioned the temescal, let me just put it out there for everybody out there in our native world that if you ever get invited to a temescal,
Move the screen so you
it's
can read.
always a good thing to bring wood. You know, you think about what they burn in the temescal. You know, you bring some wood, bring some water, bring some herbs, bring some food, things. Just think about it because if people usually host that, and it's something that they don't charge you for that. It's something that they do out of just the function of the culture, and so it's always good to be prepared for those things because I realize that nobody teaches these things, you know, and it's I don't think it's fair to criticize people for something they don't know anything about, and so. We've talked about it because we've gone to them and we've seen this, but it's just good to know. You know, if you ever get invited to a temazcal, it's always good to bring some wood. You know, it's a very important part of being part of that circle. You know,
Well, I mean that whole ceremony alone is like a potluck. You
yeah,
know, some
that's a good point. Yeah, yeah, it's
you got to
very
bring something. You're either going to bring tobacco for the elder, or you're going to bring some food for someone to eat. You're going to bring some fruit. You're going to bring some water. You're going to
So
bring some
for
wood.
our viewers that don't know what that is, can you kind of break it down? What a
The temescal is like it's a bath. It's like a spiritual bath. But you know, I've learned it, and Daniel did it more in Mexico, right? I learned it through Lakota ways in Ipis.
yeah.
You know,
I learned it.
the
I
sun
look.
dancers. The sun dancers pour water. All the sweats that I've attended, that there have been sun dancers that pour the water. But there are other temescales where other communities come together and they put together their energy and they create a house, a healing house, right?
Right. Well,
A Teocalli.
when I studied in Mexico, I was very fortunate that well, we were actually learned the process. They built the temazcal there actually right before our eyes, and so the temazcal was a round temazcal. And the temazcal that was round, they taught us was a more masculine temazcal. And then there's a square temazcal that's more a female temazcal. Was the way they had taught us. And so, man, it was really interesting learning about how it worked. And when I think of the temazcal today, I think of the womb, you know, because that's what it is that they describe it as being back in the womb. And man, it's true. It's going back to your birth. And if you think about that, you go back to the womb, it's a very sacred concept. And then, even then, it's one of the strongest medicines because it puts you in the womb and it heats you up. And when you sweat, all the toxins that are in your body that aren't good for you come out, you know. And it's a very, but I think also, too, in various temescals, people sing, you know, have chants, they have different forms of medicine. It depends on who you go to and what the way they run it, because I've been in the Lakota style and I've been in the Temescal. The Temescal is actually made out of adobe, so it's really like an oven. I mean, the Lakota is the same concept, but it's with a blanket, usually over wooden stakes. But they're both heat, and so it's the concept though is it again too. We learned about it's hot and cold. The concept and the science behind hot and cold, fire and water. It's a very strong medicine. And so
It's
there's
an ancient prayer.
very old medicine. Yes, yes.
It's an ancient prayer. And if you're lucky enough to have somebody who has power, right, because they did the disciplines that they needed to, the sun dances, certain things, blechas, certain things give that sweat leader, temescal leader, whatever, it gives them that energy to guide that ceremony. And we still have power. It never left us. Just certain individuals carry it, you know?
Well, I
And
think
even when they carry that medicine, you think, oh, he has Christ consciousness, or he doesn't make mistakes, or he doesn't get drunk, or he doesn't. No, we're all human, and we all go through emotional traumas, especially if we're coming from 500. If we're trying to recover from 500 years of genocide. So don't expect that. Expect the moment. Because I've been in moments where they were super powerful. I know because it changed my life. Look at me now. A temescal changed my life. Uncle Ernie Longwalker changed my life. Lakota Sweat Leader looked straight into my eyes and changed my life. He heated me up so much that my blood started, I felt like my blood cells were vibrating at a point of memory. That's how strong those ceremonies can be. But that's just one element to it. One element to your journey away from this colonial perspective. You were going to say something, Daniel?
well, yeah, it was just you kind of threw me out. I was just listening to what you're saying, but I was just saying that it's yeah, I lost my thought, man. I was
Sorry,
just
bro. I
listening to
feel
you, man. It just
sorry, my man.
no,
I
no.
don't know. I just felt like that
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say real
those.
quick.
So are certain people qualified to build them or be the head organizer?
Absolutely.
Well, and
Usually,
that's what I was gonna say, Armando. Is the way I see it is that I've been to different sweats and temescals, and man, it ranges. It ranges for some that were just very, pretty relaxed, chill, to others that are just like you said, hot, literally hot. And
yeah,
so, but
yeah,
I think that to me, man, a lot of it's your intention, and
absolutely.
and I think it's a very powerful energy. And I mean, to me, it was something that we never stopped doing. And so I was always intrigued by the ceremonies that never stopped continuing, And so for me, I really was inspired by the way certain things about the ceremony were done, and so to me it made me understand that the order that my ancestors had never stopped, that it continued to just you don't, at least where I was, you don't get invited to those, you kind of, they're just, it's something that, well,
No, you do get invited to
well,
those.
not rephrase, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
it's like a private
you have to
invite,
get,
bro.
Yeah,
yeah,
you
you
can
have to get
only
invited,
get
you can't
you
just
can
show up.
only go if you
Yeah,
get invited. The
yeah,
powerful ones that
right, right, that's what I meant, I'm
if you
sorry, I
see
Yeah,
misspoke.
but if you get invited to a powerful temescal, and it's like you've never been in that situation before, like can you just jump right in and just
Okay, so
now
do a
here's,
four
now
hour
here, here
a
hold on,
four
here's the thing.
hour?
Okay, now, thank you, that was
this
my
is
point.
Because I've heard
Not,
dudes pass out or even die, dude. Like,
wait, hold on, you're right though, and that was my point, thank you,
not
you brought me
die.
back. Okay, here's the
I've
thing.
never.
well,
The
I
thing
read an article in Australia. Well, it was these white people who
right.
fucking set it up,
Oh,
but
right, brother.
one of
That's
these dudes just
different. That's
freaking
different.
No, but that's the thing.
I
It's
get. They
dangerous. It's a very
maybe used the framework of it,
yeah,
but they had no power. And
yeah.
if they have no power, then you're messing with things that are
So
powerful.
to get invited to a powerful temescal, you're obviously not just your newcomer getting into it.
okay, but brother, here's the thing. This was my point. Was that I realized, and here a good example. Okay, you look at Ruben's son. Okay, he took them since little into the Temescal, and so one thing that Temescal does as well, and if you think about it, it's all Tezcatlipoca in there. It's all just darkness. When you see light, it's from the rocks being red hot. That's the only light you see. And so it, and I realize this when you send your kids, when we go through the Temescal, boy, you have a strong mindset because you're in there and you want to get out. And some people, some people get out, they can't handle it. But if you build that and you learn to believe in the power, you learn to believe in the fire. Because you think about it, you're going through what they did. They spoke about the person that jumped in the fire and the one was too afraid. Do you want to be the sun? Do you want to be the moon? And so
It's so interesting that you say that because I remember asking one of my sons, like, it was weird. He was
I think I remember that.
yeah, he was 16, and I went, it was an unusual age because at that time they're kind of like away from you and they want to do their own thing and this and that. But I told him we're going to the sweat, and he's all okay. I was like, whoa, he didn't give me like, nah, I'm doing this. I didn't, and it was a strong sweat. After the sweat, I asked him, I go, hey, why, what is it? What's up with this? He's all, I wanted to challenge myself. He's all, I knew I was going to get challenged in there, and I wanted to go in there, and I wanted to challenge myself.
Was this your eldest?
No, this is Cholo.
I see,
Wow.
and it's interesting that we're talking about
And
this.
Tekpat told me the same thing in a different way.
Wow.
But they were babies when we went in there, so those were powerful things. Now, to get back to Armando's question, what happens, like, say for instance, Armando, you're hanging out with me, bro, like, I'm not saying that I'm anybody or anything, but I find myself in situations where I'm going to be in a powerful temescal, right? And you can do two things. You can go, oh, no, thank you. Or you can go, okay, well, life is telling me something right now. And I got to be either facing the challenge or saying I'm not ready for it. And that's okay. Not everybody.
Hey,
Look,
Ruben, I'd say this, okay, we gotta let Sky. I want to hear what Sky had to say, but also too, there's somebody in the chat said something. I'm just gonna throw it real quick. He's right on. It's
go
where
for
you
it. So
sit.
what do you say in the chat?
Where you sit in the temescal is so important because one time I sat next to a female. Last time I'll never sit next to a female again.
Yeah.
Man, fool. You know what I'm saying? And think about it. Women are cool. We're hot. So in that space, she's cool. So she's gonna just all the heat's gonna be all
Going
around
on
her.
HK.
It's the hottest place, and so it was a very good point.
Even when you
So
say,
the homie in the chat said, "Are there seats that are hotter than others?
Yes, and that was my answer. Yes,
Is
yes.
it all like equal heat, or like
okay,
you have to be very careful on where you're positioned?"
let's okay. Now
Yeah.
we're having a lot of conversations about where your mind's gonna go.
Right, right.
Okay, and when we go back into our mother, it's not about our mind. It's about our heart. How
Well
much
said.
will do we have? I know one thing, the creator didn't make me to be suffocated in this ceremony that's supposed to be a prayer about our people and our ancestors and our generations to come. I know that's not going to be dangerous to me. Is it going to be easy? No. Are you going to hear things and feel things that are foreign and different? Yes. That's how they recognize us in the spirit world. The spirit world could see us do the ceremony and they go, those are the guys that need the blessings right there. Boom. And I don't believe in blessings or curses, but those are the guys that receive the medicine. That's the way I should say it.
Right, right. That's good to say it. Yeah.
Those are the ones that receive the medicine. The ones that go and challenge themselves.
They're doing the work.
They're doing the work. Why would they give you medicine if you weren't?
But back to what Mondo was saying, and I agree. It's like it gets in your head though, man. It gets in your head because we live in the colonized world.
Mm.
Colonized world, everything is fear, man. Everything is fear. Because I know myself. Once I give up fear, fuck, man, the world's dope. Like,
But I'm glad you said that, Daniel, because every time I go into the sweat lodge, I feel that. I feel fear. I feel fear. What do you think? I don't feel fear. You don't think I get an anxiety? Oh, what am I doing again? And of course, that's my mind trying to convince me that my heart's not strong enough to do it.
right, right.
That's my mind trying to tell me that my heart's not strong enough to do it.
But I too
I'd
do it.
rather let my heart pass out in the temescal
Right, right.
than
But I
give
mean,
in to my mind's suggestion that my heart can't do it. My heart has been keeping me alive all my life.
right. I mean, but
It's
Ruben, I think
never gonna let me down,
but
ever.
the temazcal is just one part of like the bigger ceremony. 'Cause to me, I kind of was just kind of set it back, like really like, whoa, when I saw the Sundance and how certain people were not doing so well and other people were just like, like no problem. I was like, man, and it was usually the older homies that were like, and then the younger dude you saw was looked like he was gonna be the man. He was on the ground, like barely getting out. I was just like, man, they can't let you get up. You got, I was like, and that's why I began to realize I made me nervous as all shit. And I thought to myself, wait a second. If you're fit, if you begin to come back, you begin to have discipline, then this is just a dance, because it's supposed to be the sun dance. Instead, for some of these people, they got you because you pay. They tell you you're going to pay in that buyer. You pay, and it's true. And so, man, the less you have to pay, the easier it is to go through those ceremonies. Like
Well,
I've
Okay,
realized,
so I just did some research online. Obviously, the mezcal is a lot more different than, like, for example, this guru, this self-help industry, $11 billion worth man named Arthur Ray. He did a sweat lodge. 20 people were hospitalized. A
that
dozen
was in
people
Arizona,
killed
right?
in Arizona.
Yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah.
But that was people paying into the system.
right.
Obviously,
Well,
he was worth $11 billion. A self-help guru. What's going on, Zero? There's gurus that rich.
Yeah,
That's
you get to
crazy.
cook people at that
like
rate, I guess.
that's been the muddy water or the murky water in our history, right? Is that people exploit it. People go and learn it because our job is to share. No matter who you are.
It was like it was a cult. They're calling it was kind of like a cult.
Right,
I
right,
mean,
right,
but
right.
think about it. That happened about what? How long ago? 20, 15 years ago?
October 2009
2009. So like what? 20 years ago? No.
in Arizona.
15,
Yep,
15.
three counts of manslaughter, and he was Arthur Ray, one of the biggest names in the $11 billion self-help industry.
I remember this story. And so I thought it was weird because during that time we were in El Bu, and so we were hitting the 2012 shift and talking about things and knowing that things were going to change spiritually, that people were going to challenge what they called spirituality. And of course, I'm not saying that this dude was a part of that. I'm just saying that this dude went and learned how to run at temescal, but really didn't have, maybe he wasn't a sun dancer. Maybe he didn't, or maybe he was. Who knows? But I know that one thing is certain. When you run that ceremony, it's a community ceremony, right? It's kind of like everybody collectively are making that energy. So if you have a lot of energy that's not well taken care of and it's their first time, right? All of them are first timers, and the guy's a first timer running this
The
thing.
building,
And,
the people building the sweat lodges are like complete rookies.
Yeah,
they're doing
like-
it from like instructions, right?
yeah, or
Yeah,
or
but
whatever.
isn't that
Maybe
basically
it wasn't done as the uncles say in the res in a good way.
Yeah,
right? But isn't it the basis of
You know what I
calling
mean?
just
it
a profit, just a profit
It
off
was
of it.
done to go,
the
oh, I
epitome of
have the answer for
cultural?
your life.
Just sweat it out.
This is the epitome of cultural appropriation. The epitome
Now,
of it.
now, one time someone asked me about like ceremony, right? So we're talking about the temescal, and that's a ceremony, right? And they go, when is ceremony? When do you guys do ceremony? What time of the month do you do ceremony? And I go, there are people that gather monthly and they do a ceremony, yeah. But ceremony? Real ceremony? Real ceremony is a gathering of souls collectively binding themselves for an intention that needs to be addressed. That doesn't have, like, it's sometimes on a calendar day, on a full moon, on something like that, but it's not like, oh, next third Sunday of the month, we're gonna gather together and we're gonna do this. You could do that regularly, but the real ceremony, the ones that I've ever been able to witness, are just a gathering of souls that come together to pray about an intention. And guess what? We still have to do the work after that. They're strong, they're wise, and they're going to give us a good push, but we still have to do the work. We still have to challenge ourselves.
So are there any temazcals that like charge to get in?
I've heard of
or
some.
like maybe a group of people just put in to.
Look, when I think about temescales, look, temescales are not churches. They're not. You're not gonna find Jesucristo or Jesus Christ, and everybody's all good, and it's. We live in a wild world.
Mhm.
Leave that alone, man. There is no heaven. Okay? And you live in hell. So fucking get right. When you do that and you challenge yourself and you take these ceremonies seriously and you do your research and you go, not every temescal is going to be good, but I'm going to keep trying until I find one. And I found one for 10 years. I found one straight. We used to do it every month. It was more of a gathering collectively, but I felt like I drew power from that. Because it was just beautiful to be able to be in a rhythm, right?
So I'm pulling up some pictures. Zero. This is what Google is showing people what
They're different.
temazcals
There's
looking.
different types in the more.
Hey, you know what, Armando? That is what the Temescal looked like. That
Yeah.
the top one, like when that first one, those are what they look. I mean, like I said, where I was at the school, they built it. Yeah, the first two right there. That's exactly what they look like. And I mean, I
And
saw
go
them.
and try them out. Go and try them out. Your warrior spirit will not lead you to something weak. And if you feel the weakness, if you feel like a weirdo and he's trying to charge you $150 and
Yeah.
he's
Hey, man,
claiming
That's
that
not the-
you're
that's not
going to
the-
come
you're not
out
at
a
the right spot if
warrior
that's what's
and you
going
get
on.
your eagle feather.
That's how you get killed.
Yes.
but that was the
But if
Temescal
you
they built
find
there?
yourself, if you find yourself with a brother who has a good heart and always speaks with love and always has the wisdom of our ancestors, and he tells you, "Hey, bro, you should come with me and pray this way."
Right, I agree.
That's
Definitely.
different. That's different. That means your spirit is being guided, and you got to pay attention.
That one there is more like a sweat, I think, right there. But the thing is that what's interesting is where I went to school,
You got to pay attention to that
they
because
kept the
you don't
Temescal there. You know, it
you
was
don't you don't find yourself in those areas with those people. Remember, a ceremony is a gathering of souls. I mean, collectively going, we're gonna pray about this.
question. I seen I'm not sure if there are any underground. I would imagine that a lot of them are, because I think when the ones that they built, the one that they built in particular where we were, they built it underground, and then that Temescal part is above the ground. And so, because you think about it, the womb, the mother is the earth, so it's like to be somewhat in the earth is part of its medicine as well.
And check it out.
Plus,
And-
inside the body, the degrees is 90 up to 98 degrees.
And unfortunately, all these websites, we click on them. You have to pay to get in, and there's some white people who run them. So there it is.
Crazy.
No, but I think their sweat lodge
Look,
whole
but I'd rather have-
concept, they took it from the indigenous
cool.
community.
Fuck it, cool. I
It's a
agree.
cultural
with you. I
appropriation.
fucking agree with you. And
Cultural appropriation. Yep.
I'm glad that they're doing that and charging their community because they're the only community that fucking pays for it. I'm glad they're doing that than hunting us down and fucking hanging us on trees because we're doing it. It's come to that time. They may think they know something, and that's okay. Let them. Only those that know the calendar counts. Only those that have the disciplines to follow the lead of our abuelos.
Yeah,
And
it's a
we're-
tradition. It's a tradition. If you follow people that have the tradition, they know. Because when I saw that, like there was somebody in charge of it, and they told them exactly what to do. And
This is disgusting. I know you guys see it. It says the Mezcal Sweat Lodge and Tequila Tour. Like, come on, how can you mix tequila with a Temazcal Sweat Lodge, guys?
you're not
Like,
supposed to.
there's a white girl, and in that poster. That's man.
But that's what I'm saying is that
She's handing her some tequila too.
that's what I'm saying is that you got to do. Just remember that a gathering of spirits, hearts, good medicine. Like they're not always present. If someone brings you a brochure and tries to tell you you're going to have an experience, a spiritual experience, and then you're going to drink tequila after, you might not be in the right place where you're thinking that you're going to connect with the grandpas. right?
Well,
That's what they
it
call
goes back to intention, right?
that goes,
Yes, a good
the
point.
grandpas, the tatankas, the grandpas, those are the rocks. See, you get different explanations during those experiences.
And best believe those commercialized experiences where they're soliciting you while you're walking, the
Right,
pyramids of Mexico. They're hiring someone to look just like a danzante to be in there to make you feel this fake experience.
right, right.
Yeah, but they don't. That's more to distract you
Yep.
because you are on a very powerful energy area. Like, remember, our ancestors were not just ritualistic. That was a part of the science. That's how we document. We didn't document with words. We document with how we looked when we did it. That's our documentation. We didn't write down tablets and we didn't write down books and we didn't write these words down in instructions. We didn't do that.
Well, but I also think too, Ruben, it's just there's two different worlds going on here. We do it because it's what we do. It's our intention. If there was money or not money, we're going to do this. They only do it because there's money involved. That's it. And so it's a different. I kind of it makes me sad that I think of this.
No, but what I'm saying is that e- when you go to Escaret and you're in
Right,
excavated space. What do you think? We just put that there just out of nowhere? No, there's a reason why it's there. What is it under? What is it hitting? What energy frequencies are still alive there?
right.
We got to pay attention on that level. Remember, after 2012, you should be in a position where you're not just trying to find identity. You're trying to find how that frequency affects your body and how that body is going to react to that frequency and what you're going to take home and bring back to your community around you. That's the level we need to be at, I think, in my opinion. It's enough reading about it. Learn it. Get up at sunrise. Believe me, I've done it multiple times. I haven't stopped. It's time to implement these things. You have 52 years to reach full potential. And I'm on that road. And Daniel, man, he was a good example for me.
But the thing is too, Ruben. I think what's interesting is that, and again, to going back to this point, man, is that the temescal is also a very strong mind. It makes you strong in your mind because it makes
Yes.
your mind and your soul strong. And the thing is, today, we're in a mental crisis. People are just. I keep hearing anxiety. I mean, I don't have anxiety, and luckily, I haven't. Because I was thinking about through the week talking about that in my life, I'm not a wall puncher, and I started to think about it. I've never saw my dad do that ever, and you know what it was? I never seen my dad do anything that made us lose money.
Ah.
He never did anything that made us like, oh, shit. And I think to myself, okay. And so I was really raised to not ever. And so it's amazing when you're exposed to certain things, it becomes part of you. And so, like you think of the Massat brothers, man, those guys, they're raised in that tradition.
Right.
Think of how successful and how strong-minded those individuals are, and like, and it's just that people you lose track that the temescal also is making you strong in your mind, and we need to be strong in our mind because there's a lot of deception out there today. And the womb is where we started, and it was true. The warmth and the heartbeat, and the rattle. It was all the intent, the beginning of everything. And so when we return, it's kind of like if you think about it, in our brain too, it's like a default. We go back, we start again. And so, but literally being washed, it's like coming out of the womb. When you come out of there, it's just a very metaphorical, but also mentally strong. And so, and it's all in your head. You're like, oh, I'm gonna be scared. 'Cause I was scared a lot of times, and then once you begin to realize, man, okay, don't drink a lot of water, don't drink anything, don't smoke anything, just be clean when you go in because it's all gonna come out of you, man. You can't hide that shit.
Yeah, it is like a rebirth because I haven't been in the Temescal since I was probably like 13 years old.
Wow, but you
And
remember it.
I remember it clearly when I went in, it was that uncertainty, that fear of not knowing what was going to happen. But I think I was in there for about 4 hours. And I remember that,
Wow.
whoever was leading was like, put your head in the dirt if it gets too hot and
Okay,
things.
yeah, yes, because I was gonna say, dude, when it gets too hot, dude, I'd be just laying on the ground trying to touch every part of my body on the ground, and it doesn't help. I
But I
mean,
remember like the 13-year-old me was like, no, like we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna sit
oh
there
my
and
god.
take
Well,
it
the
in.
30-year-old me was all, like trying to gasp for air.
But I never thought about it like a mother or a womb. But now
Right.
that you say that, it was like that because when you come out, I went and probably it was like 5 o'clock. We came out. It was maybe like 9, and it was in
Wow.
Colorado. So to
Ah,
come
yeah.
out into the Colorado, like just the forest and things like that, and just
Wow. Where
that
was it?
cold air, it was almost kind of like a rebirth. It did feel like that, just thinking back to that too. And it feels like now, like man, I think I need to go back to it. Like that
Of
definitely
course.
would be
And where
nice.
was it, Sky? Where did you do that at?
It was in Colorado at like I think in
Wow.
Little Rock, Colorado. I
That's
was
awesome.
up there
That'd have
for
been nice. That'd have been nice.
mhm.
A
Because
few
that would have been
things.
traditional.
A few things happen when you do it on an EP or some sort of temescal.
Cool.
When you stay in that state for that long, obviously, your body's going to react in a certain way and your spirit's going to react in a certain way. But the one thing that I feel like our ancestors were really focused on was accomplishing something, right? Like they say, from the doorway into the doorway out.
Right.
And then, we're going to go through these 4 rounds. The first round is for this. That's like, I'm not going to go into detail. When you get to the temescal, they'll teach you and they'll say what they need to say, but seek it. It's a very powerful tool in your life if you face the challenge. We don't have ceremonies that are going to just pat you on the head and say, we love you and life's going to be good and here you go. That's not what I've experienced. But each one that I have experienced and I accomplished, that's when I get the pat on the back because I accomplished it. I challenged myself. I faced the fear. Then you get the pat on the back. And you can go as high as you want up the ladder. It'll be up to your will. How much do you have in here to guide what's up here? Not the other way around. That's the way I see it. That's why the hummingbird's so important to us, because the biggest thing in the hummingbird is its heart. Its heart allows it to fly in every direction, in whatever direction. That is our spirit.
Yeah, and that's true, Ruben. I realize it too. Like that part of the temescal I liked was the songs and we sang the
Nice.
old language,
Ah.
and then how we began to talk about words that are part of our old language, and it kind of like unlocks our DNA, and it's like we begin,
Mm.
and like I remember counting say oh me yay now, and like, and I remember it's funny. It's like certain people didn't know how to count, and they were leading the count, and I was like. Is that really right? Should you be saying that? But you can't. Sometimes you can't say anything. You just gotta just let her go. But it's like, but it's a place where you begin to learn our language again, and like because I think I want to try to work on not saying jaguar and now saying ocelot. So that
Mm.
we begin to say the words again, and it just begins with us. And on that point, like I'd say, today, I want to share with everybody the word "se." "Se," and I think that I remember I was talking to one of the people who'd say don't you mean the word "seawat"? And I'm like, well, okay. It's like, but, and the reason I talk about this is because we live in a world where the Spanish came here first and they really understood us. But then the English came in and they didn't care. They just took the words. And the reason I say that is like, we were with people that had concepts and ideas. Like in Spanish, the word's called ayuno, ayuno, which literally means a fast. So what's the word for breakfast? Is desayuno, the end of a fast. So what's the word in English? Break fast. Well, we say breakfast, we don't even think about what the hell it is. It's breaking the fast. And so through language we just get lost. And think of us, our root language is Nahuatl. So we're really Sewatl. And in English it becomes Siwat. It's like we do our language is oral. So as we begin to change these sounds, and that's why the temescal comes back and it's the same song, it's the same sound, the same numbers. It's a place for us to go and still feel, like I said, we may feel lost sometimes, but the earth, the land will always recognize us. It's like Sky, did you feel recognized in the womb of your mother when you were in that temescal?
Absolutely.
Like you can't be lost. You can never be lost. And that's, I mean, is it like we live in a world that they intend for us to feel lost on our own land. And so once I was able to unravel that, man, then I began to embrace all the things that inspired my existence. It's at the root of my indigenous way. My innate need to just be in a group, to be supportive, to be creative. Not to be angry or fearful, because that's the flip side of us. And so it's time for us to no longer do that, to move on to love. And I see it right now. It's intention. The sun makes me make intention, and so I've been doing this a while. Now I'm excited. Like it's probably one of the most excited that I've been in a long time. I'm not
I
sure
mean,
why, but
I've come to realize that, in those moments of sunrise and in those moments where we're trying to reconnect, you know, we're reprogramming ourselves. Because right now we think, oh, I'm going to look at an alarm clock. It's going to say 6 a.m. That means that that's the time. But that's not the time. That's what they want you to think is time. But time is the color of the sun coming up. And as Daniel said, it gives everything to everyone. It's responsible for all of the dreams that live here. So when I turned to the right and I saw it, just and I feel like I'm catching those moments because I do nemotemi. I do burn the fires on the solstice and the equinoxes. I try to be on time. I let time guide me like a wind, right? It gets me to where I need to go all the time, on time, when I need it,
right.
right? When you have that in-depth connection, right? And they're not found in words. They're found in actions.
Well, and it's interesting you say that, Ruben, because I mean, and this is one thing I kind of have come to the realization is it is as a native person, you as we and as native people, it's almost blasphemy for me or anybody to get in the way of anybody's connection between the creator and themselves.
Absolutely.
That's it's a connection or a relationship that it's none of my business. Whereas in their world, they make it your business. Oh, and it's a difference because for us, don't talk about it. I don't want you to talk about my voice with my creator. It's not for you to speak of. But we live in a world where they do that. They and that's the difference between us. Is that for us? Is it our everything that we feel and that we do had nothing to do with the monetary system. That we still do what we did before all those things. And so our intention is, if you think about it, is the sun. It gives us this light all day, every
Yes.
day,
Yeah, the light and the color of the sky,
but it never asks for anything in return.
other than you living out your dream, right? Getting the energy that you get from it and living out your dream.
And think of Ruben. Think of a river. A river flows, and it just never. It just flows. It doesn't. It doesn't go back and ask. It just. It's interesting how the earth just gives.
Right.
It's a
And
giving, creative motion, and so
because life is abundant. It's always
yes, yes, yes. I mean,
life has always been abundant. We just don't we the only thing that isn't
it's
abundant
sidetracked,
is
brother.
Jordans.
It's
That's
sidetracked.
not abundant, right? Or a Balenciaga thing. That isn't abundant, you know. But there are foods that are abundant. If we concentrated on them, everybody would be fed,
Yeah.
Well,
right?
I mean, like, look
'Cause
at
life is abundant. Like it has to be abundant.
well, Ruben. I grow flowers, man. When a flower's healthy, it just grows, and
Right.
I know how to put it in a place in a way that it doesn't cost me anything. I just have to give it the resources that I already have. And it just like
I
us,
like
we were seeds. We became more than a seed.
well said. Well said. You when it has the things it needs, it just grows, right? Now, I want to go back to 2012. We are getting everything we need at a rate that we're not used to. That's why the distractions are bigger and stronger and
Right.
and the ignorance is bigger and stronger because they have to distract you from the springtime, the summertime, the wintertime. When these things shift and you're in line with them, then it's harder to control. But when you're offset with them, when you don't care about them, you're super easy to control. Super. Because they're almost draining your power when you should be getting power. Sunrise ceremony or the acknowledgement of the color changing,
Hmm.
the sky changing color, that's your personal communication with the dream. And
Right.
everyone has their own language with it. You have your own connection with the sun
Right. No, exactly. And Ruben, think about it. I'm
because
I'm
you're
Mali.
alive.
Well, I'm Malinali. I'm actually literally weed. So when I grow weed that are flowers that the sun sent me, I came through the birth canal. This was my energy, and so like I said, I feel so blessed that I'm going after my passions, like the shirts in the background. Like I'm excited to begin to print shirts for like I met some people that I'm excited to make them clothes, like I'm excited to try to get you gear before you head out to Canada, and just it's nice that I've been blessed to, man, to just have a love for the art. Would I didn't realize it, but now, I'm an artist. It's my art, and I'd love to share something that I love to do, and it's just we've been so long on this road, and it seems like right now we're in a good. I feel like we're in the sun.
I think, yeah, you're right. Because, our ancestors were master, master stargazers.
Yes, for sure.
Master. I'm not going to say astrologers. That's different. Stargazers.
But I would say this too with that concept, Ruben. Think of the concept of se. Se is just se, and so se has a lot to do in our language with meaning, and so se is the first number count. So, and a lot of people. It's a beautiful name, Setlali. Okay, and have y'all heard of the word Setlali?
Hmm.
Se is the first number, and Tlali represents the earth. And so Setlali is our first earth. So do you know what Setlali literally means? It's a star. And so our first earth are the stars. And by just speaking our language, these things come to truth to us. Same way, Sewatl, Se, the first one in water. So woman. And so our language tells us that Seattle, well, that part of the continent is where water was first, and so just interesting. And you look at the number count, the tonal poali, the tonal, the sun's 20, poali. What's the first number count? What's the first symbol? Sipakli. Sepakli. There it is again. And just it comes back because in our language it's telling you se always means it's the first one. And so when we begin to learn our language, to begin to make sense to us, but the sound has to be important, and I think it's just I try to do what I can to repeat the sound that I heard when the professors and the maestros were teaching me in Mexico. And then they would take us to people that would sing the songs. And so just it was a beautiful thing to be immersed in your original language. And then when you hear it, it awakens a I don't know, it just gets it's a warm feeling inside.
It's exactly like what we do with English, right? Spelling. It's the same thing. It's our frequency. It's our words that we
Right,
created,
right,
right? Just like, like they say, good morning, right? That's a spell of you mourning your life so you won't ever
right.
challenge the king that's in charge of you or the people that are in charge of you,
But
right?
that's the
You're a
thing
slave.
too.
You're a
It,
slave, right? So
and
you're using
Ruben,
an English, hold on. You're using an English language and you're saying things unconsciously, like have a good weekend, right? We be weak at the end. Nothing is ever going to lead you to a place where you're in tune with nature. That's why our language is so powerful because it took so long to develop. Our studies are about nature, right? And just like Daniel said, there's the Tonapuali, right? So you have the Tonapuali, but the first symbol in that Tonapuali is not a word. It's not a word. What is it? It's a symbol. It's like almost a
Right, right.
drawing. It's
Well,
a
think about it.
drawing.
It's
It's not a word. So
the
what
religion.
does that mean? In that drawing, there's a spirit of that animal. In that drawing, there's a spirit of that animal.
Well, let's see.
We do
Botany.
not, we do not fall. We can get hypnotized by spelling books, European thought, European religion, European concepts. We have a different, I'm telling you, when you mineralize, when you look at the sun, it all adds up. It makes more sense.
Okay. Sipakli represents the Milky Way. So when you
There you
say
go.
Sipakli, it begins because it begins with the Milky Way.
Right. And it was the first one to come out of water into land. There's the spirit in
Right,
that
and it's
drawing.
and it's that spiral, you know. But I'm saying that our language, our story, our creation story, is a creation story that actually is backed by science because they don't believe our story, or then they go and
But
they
it's not written down words.
right, and then they
Our
go and try
story
to
is not
figure it out.
written down words. Our story is spirit pictures.
Right, 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 and it's the oral. It's us telling the story, bringing the
Exactly.
pictures to life. You know, like you said,
Exactly.
you don't need to know how to read to see it. You know, and so then everything's right there. Everything's telling you. And so even how in the center looks like us. You know, it's
Right.
not us. It looks like us. Okay,
Right.
so that's the thing is their world. You know, but again, too, I was going to come back to the point of this: is that they too, because we're dealing with nature. Nowhere in nature is man in charge. Nowhere in nature is man in charge. Only one that I know of that the seahorse, and again too, we're not seahorses, okay? And so, but I'm just saying that like that's just man is not man plays a supporting role in nature. It builds the structures, the stuff that we live in, but it's not he's not making the
But he
emotion.
also he also philosophizes. He
Sure,
also
sure.
he also guides and directs. There's
He's
a lot of
necessary. He's
we
necessary.
have to really like I understand the stronger feminine energy that comes with speaking about what our ancestors did, but I feel like there was an equal not an equal, there's not an equal. We were different. We were different in our own way and we had our own position.
Of course, we're like
No
the
one
Moors.
has a dominant position because if you give the women the dominant position, you see what happens. If you give the men the dominant position, you see what happens. It's better to just duke it out and go, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you are, but this makes more sense. Oh, yes, we agree.
Well, I think that the
But
human.
giving submission to a certain just energy, I don't believe in.
But I mean, the human condition's always been, riddled with peril, But the thing is that our system was very harmonious. Our system worked for a long time, and it was a system based in the sun with systems that we understood through math.
It was based on observation,
Right, well, there you go. Observation, experiment, discover, create. The four elements of
but lengthy observation. Lengthy observation. I don't think the experiment part of it I think the experiment part of it comes with observing something for so long and seeing it repeat by itself,
course, the evolution.
right? Because imagine if we stared at Venus for 1,000 years.
Damn, I'd like to be alive 1,000 years.
Now, I'm not saying that we would be alive. That's not the way they viewed things.
Right, right.
Think about it. Think about when you're born. And if you're born under your energy, your tonal, right? That tonal doesn't come back until 52 years later. So when do you say, "Oh, I'm 1, I'm 2, I'm 3"? When do you say that? Probably after Nemotemi, but not on the day you were born.
But I mean, realistically, it's 52, or 104. You only really have two.
No, but what I'm saying is that we have the concept now that on October 29th, which is my birthday, right? That, oh, I get to be 1 year older,
Mhm.
but not in our system of counting the calendars, right? Because you would be 1 year older if you went through Nemotemi and went, oh, wow, I just went through my second Nemotemi, but not on the day that you were born. Do you get what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, the things are two different calendars. You know, one of them's a lunar
Oh,
calendar,
right. Your
one of them's
Tonalama, right? The
right,
Tonalama is the
right.
260-day calendar, and then you have the 365-day calendar.
Yeah,
How
so
do we pick?
they never
How,
line up. You know,
yeah,
the 260 goes and then it begins again, and then it kind of. But that's why it takes 52 years to make that whole complete cycle again. You know.
right. And then your energy comes out, right? But how would you know that you went 52 years around the sun? Through your Nemotemi. Here's his first Nemotemi, or maybe his sixth Nemotemi, or maybe his eighth Nemotemi. But it wouldn't be like, oh, I'm October 29th. Happy
Right.
birthday to me.
No, it would be like you say, it would be Cali and like then like Yerba. Then it's three. There's usually three. And then the real
No, that's the Tonalama. That's a 260-day. That's your destiny day.
right,
Your destiny day, right? So
right.
you have your destiny day, right? That's the 260-day calendar that exists within the 360-day calendar. What I'm trying to point out is that we didn't have birthdays on the
Oh
month.
yeah, yearly birthdays. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yes, yes. The only reason we would know we were 1 year older is if we did Nemotemi. Then oh wow, he's done his sixth Nemotemi.
Right,
Wow, look that. Oh, he's on his 52 Nemotemi.
right.
Oh wow, we should look at the Tonalama because it's just returning.
But not everybody's born on those 5 days, though. But you're right.
No, I'm not saying that. Like we didn't celebrate. What I'm trying to say is that we didn't celebrate ourselves in the way that we do now
Right.
for
No.
our birthday.
Yeah.
We
I
got
mean,
through. We got through. Oh wow, we're
but
1 year.
remember too, though, we live in the society of individuals, man. This is individualism, and our whole shit is not individualism. You look at
Good
that. That's
point.
not about one person. That's just a
Good
whole
point.
conglomerate.
So then we all turned a year older.
Yeah. I mean, there was
Not
nothing was
just like,
me.
oh, Sky, when's your birthday? Like we wait till your day comes and we go, okay, let's isolate Sky and go, yes, today is Sky, and we're gonna just no, it wasn't like that. I'm
But
sure
the
there was
thing is,
But
celebrations.
I think
It's a collective celebration. That
that
made more sense.
that's a good point because I feel like right now in society, it's what's being pushed out is all about being unique, right? It's all about individualism. It's all about how can I stand out. But
it's
when
always
you
been that, though,
mhm.
brother.
And
It's
when you
always
come back to what we're talking about now, it's about well, how can we include everything in it? What's the collective goal here? What's the collective way to empower everybody? And now it's more about an individualistic society. So that's a great point to bring into the mix. Because yeah, that got me thinking about it in that way. Like, man, what are we doing collectively? Everything's about me, 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 me.
but
Unique, unique,
nothing,
unique.
but
Stand out,
nothing,
stand out, stand out.
but nothing's me, me, me. Everything's collective. Think
Hmm.
about that. Even you think of it. This bothers me. You see these billionaires that they're just riding the backs of all of us. And how is they get? It just don't make sense. And this system is so broken. But again, too, men are running this system, man. Dude, step aside already. Let's let some other people take over because this shit's not working. And I mean, again, too, I go back to the whole Gaza, the whole shit's happened in the Middle East. Not a single woman in any of that shit.
Right.
Women are getting killed, but they're, what I mean? That's like, it's just wrong. It shouldn't be like that. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, if you got to kill people, your shit's fucked up. Go back to the drawing board. You
Right.
can't. You know,
But in nature,
can't be people.
and at the same time though, we're gonna observe nature, and in nature, there's those type of things. Like I just posted something on my Instagram where it was a raven or a crow, like pecking at a hawk, right? And it was a baby hawk. No, it was killing it. It was killing it, right? This raven was killing a hawk. In nature, we're looking at it. If I were looking at a nest, I would be seeing a raven fly into a nest and killing the hawk because they're enemies. They fight each other, right? And then the mom comes and freaks the fuck out. She's just like looking at the sky, looking, and saw the bird fly. Boom. And she just darted at it and grabbed it and fought it and just, let it present and let her presence be known. There's a lot of lessons in those type of displays in nature. You know, that stuff happens. That's why I'm trying to tell people, don't think of anything that we do that we've studied as being a church, a place of heaven where you don't ever suffer and no one ever betrays you and no one that's not what I just described about that raven going to that nest and killing that's what exists. So live
That's
up.
survival.
So live up to the challenge of life. Don't be comfortable.
But too, Ruben, to add to that, think about this, man. Nature takes what it needs. It doesn't take more than it needs.
Sure.
And
That's a great lesson, and us of us, but those of us that come from a lineage that has been studying nature for at least 26,000 years, at least our documentation is, because that's what the Tonal Machiot is.
right, right.
26,000 year documentation of something that we can figure out at one point at this time. 2012 has happened, man. Get into the energy. Start finding the temescales. Start treating your body as a vessel.
Right.
Start finding the foods that your ancestors used to put priority on: cacao, spirulina, chia seed, maca root. The list goes on and on. You'll find the rest on your own. But I gave you a good source of them. That will feed your blood. Your blood is connected to the earth. Then you start to feel the power. Now you do the math. What's the math? Nemotemi, solstice, equinox. Now you're in the energy. It's not hard. It takes discipline, it takes focus, it takes dedication, it takes commitment. But I'm not trying to be weak in this life. If I'm saying a colonizer is colonizing me, then I got to do the things to stay free from the colonizer.
Right. Exactly. Like go feel the sun,
Exactly. Make it a ritual. Make it a ritual. Even as simple as, well, I don't have time to get up at 6 a.m. or I don't have time to watch the sunset go, or I don't have time to come out at 12 noon. Well, make some time. Any point of time, start there. And don't feel embarrassed that you have a connection with the great celestial being that gives dreams to all the things that are alive on Tonantzin. We need to make that time. Now's the time. We talked about it for a long time. When we put out Jaguar Prophecies, we really believed we were heading into a time where things were going to change, and they have. People call it the woke era, the this, the that, but at least they're questioning it. We used to eat crap and just go, oh, you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Now everybody's going, hey, you know what? I want to lose weight, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. And they have the resources. They have the phone. They have people that have knowledge in sea moss and burdock root. And, all these things are starting to become trendy. Not trendy.
Well, I don't know the woke that term. I don't know. When I hear woke, I hear progressive. Like, do those two terms make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think
I'm guessing what woke is. I don't really know what woke is. I just know one thing, that YouTube transformed the planet because everybody got on YouTube and all of a sudden they were an expert on fucking everything. And that's what I think woke is. But to me, woke is those that went and did the research and implement that research in their life, in their daily life, and they're trying to teach everyone else what they learned by being that disciplined. That's woke. Not just because, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, people could go throw down fucking 50,000 books, but then go eat Burger King and drink beer and smoke fucking cigarettes.
Well, I think that's the difference between the thought and the realization, right? Because when you realize something is because you actually did it, and you feel a shift inside of you, and you feel like, okay, there's a change going on. But I feel like, at least speaking for myself, and I'm a victim of
But
this
realization is halfway. A thought, then you realize, then you accomplish. Don't forget the last point. That requires your focus and your discipline and your sacrifice. It's not just a manifestation. The manifestation happens when, it's kind of like I tell people about prayer, and this is just my opinion about prayer. Prayer is just the seed. Yeah, I was strong. Yeah, I felt a really strong energy. What do you think that seed needs to pop underneath the ground? It needs that push. It needs that power. But it's just the beginning. You have to put in the work. You have to do the disciplines. You have to make the commitment. That's what makes you you. If not, then you just have information.
So yeah, like woke, it means according to Google, alert to racial prejudice and discrimination.
Right. The that's kind of like a regurgitated civil rights.
But now they're saying,
Aggressive.
yeah, now they're saying in more recent times, it's an awareness of social inequality such as racial injustice, sexism, and denial of LGBTQ rights. That's what woke is now, apparently.
Well, it to me, look, woke is not getting information. That's not woke. Just because you know about oppression or you read a lot about oppression or you work with an organization that understands oppression, it's what you do in your daily. What is it that you do? Like me. Like I wanted to commemorate my grandmother's death, give it a good energy by fixing me. Right? She didn't have that opportunity because she got sick and she passed away by something that was so simple as she forgot what foods. She got lost in steak and blah 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 and ice cream and cake and she came to a city, coming from a rural area to a city and getting all that. My grandfather busted his ass, so he always had money. And she got sick with food. Nah, not me. I'm gonna find the real food. The real food, what does that mean? That food that gives me the ability to finish my accomplishment, right? It's not just a thought. It's not just a realization. It's an accomplishment. You got to follow through with that. That's important. That's what our ancestors did. That's what they focused on, finishing the task. Masatzin said we had a certain amount of time to finish the Tonal Mashiach, and we did it 13 years before it needed to be done. 13 years later, the Spaniard came. We finished our work. This is where we live, bro. And now the prophecies, all the abuelos, all the people of Mexico, all the maestros agreed that we passed the 500 years. We passed the 500 years of darkness. We are not in that time no more. Start acting that way. Be a kind, beautiful person like Daniel has suggested. Live in love, but a love that you protect with all of your might, with all of your discipline, with all of your commitment. That's what you need to do for your family, for the people you love. It's time, man. I don't know. That's
I
the way
just
I feel.
do. If you can, come out to plant-based.salon on the first of the month.
There you go. That's the community, man.
Yeah.
Like, and we do this with love and passion. I get a little
I was gonna
passionate.
say, like you're heading it. He's like, hey man, maybe there's a place we can go.
Yeah, no, that we do have places to go, and we have events that we're working on, right, Armando? What are we working on?
Absolutely.
June 25th,
June 25th, we're trying to get the Cuss's Last Stand
and we're gonna get
Oh,
that
yeah.
locked in.
right. And we still got Indigenous Peoples Day that happens in October.
Absolutely.
And I'm, once again, shout out to HK. Hey, HK, if you're still on, why don't you chime in for a little bit? We'll talk about the event if you want. If he's
And then
still
how
there.
about
Is he still there?
what is it? What
And what's the chat saying? Does anybody have a question out there? Does
Let's
anybody
see.
want us to elaborate on certain things?
I think somebody was giving saludos from Oxnard, which is kind of cool. They said they worked
Yeah.
in a plant place out there. It'd be kind of cool. Work with plants.
Oh, is that the brother that? No, I think that brother comes to Plant Based Aslan. It might be.
Okay.
I know he lives far.
The brother Nopalito. Somebody said 2012 woke, you understand how corruption works in the system. 22 woke, I identify as a toaster and tomorrow a goldfish.
That's crazy. I was a toaster the other day too. I think today I'm a goldfish.
Yeah, I get what he's saying. There's a lot of people who try to identify as something, and we're just automatically supposed to accept it.
I just think it just shows, people are lost. And I think people are everybody's searching,
Right.
It's unfortunate that it's come to, a lot of things that kind of sound absurd, and not to judge anybody, but I think everybody collectively is looking for something, whether they know it or not. But
Right, for sure. And we
And it's
levitate
all-
towards those things,
and
towards
it's-
those people.
And it's all a challenge. It's all a challenge. how you grew up how you grew up, and if it was difficult for you or if it was easy. It's all a challenge. It's all a lesson.
And that's the beauty of life, though. I feel like once you begin to accept that life is a challenge, then things become more meaningful. Because
Well,
I feel like we're so accustomed to expecting some kind of comfort out of life, or expecting something to come, or
but how'd
expecting
that
life to
happen,
be
Sky?
somewhere.
Where did we get that? How did we get fed that?
It's because it's all an illusion, and the colonized perspective, which is really a religious perspective, fed us a hope that one day, if we do all the things, if we listen to our masters, if we one day we'll get to live and kick our feet up and say, "Hey, I'm in heaven." Really cool.
Hey, check it out. There's somebody in the chat said that they were, us talking about Temescal. He's coming to do a Temescal.
Nice.
Yeah,
Good
shout
stuff.
out Marco. He said, pretty crazy. I subscribed a couple years back and never really paid attention to you guys. Tomorrow I fly to Oaxaca. I had planned the Temescal. I go to YouTube and here you guys are talking about it.
Because I'm telling you, the
Timing.
time shift, the
It is
time shift. 2012 was not a joke. It was not a joke. It's just we didn't really understand the math equation. But think of it as like, boom, full sun.
right. That's what it is.
Our ancestors weren't fucking around. 500 years of
Right.
darkness gone. We're in
Yeah.
full sun right now. That's how we know about these foods. That's how we know about the ceremonies. That's how we know all these things. That's how you're going to Oaxaca and you're going to do the stemescal. Like, dude, you're in the right place at the right time.
Right.
We all are. We have to take ownership of it, though.
Right. Right. Well, I know I'll be looking forward to sharing a lot of good, products at Plant Based Aslan because I kind of ran into the wax guy. He hit me with a bunch of wax.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you, man. It's been,
Yeah, likewise. I'm always excited to go back into LA, man. I feel like I come out of the forest and I go into the jungle.
yeah, concrete jungle, huh?
Yeah, going down, and I don't know, but it's such a good group of people there, man. Everyone's just so like, everyone's really friendly, and I love how Javi's always like, man, he always looks busy, and he is busy, of course, but you know what I mean. He's always like, well, I don't know, I'll go. It's like people just show up, man. It's always such a good party, really, and so it's a good vibe. I always look forward to it, and it's nice. Hopefully, with the weather. Do you know what the weather is forecasted for this weekend, you guys?
I don't actually. I gotta check. We've been kind of plagued with rain recently, but
Right. No, I'm getting rain here tomorrow, tonight, tomorrow, and the next day. So we're gonna see about. Oh, and I see someone's from Chicago. Damn,
yeah,
what's the weather like in Chicago today?
that Windy City. Shout out Ice Presto. Thank you
This
for
is a
tuning in,
dope
brother.
podcast. What podcast out there, Zero, is talking about Temazcals right now? Like nobody.
Well, I mean,
And then the homie is tuned in. He's a fan of our podcast, and he's going to Temazcal.
yeah.
Well,
That is like that. The energies are just so
It's that affinity.
are so connected, dude.
well, you can't stop the sun.
Yeah. That's exactly what we've been talking about most of this podcast. You know?
I mean, think about it. Do you guys know what Tlahuixcal Pantecutli is?
Right. That's the Venus, the morning
No,
star.
that's your son.
Right.
Mm,
Well, yeah, that's what
Have
yes.
you seen?
But
Have you seen his
I'm
son?
trying to teach him how to recognize that. So yeah, but right now we call him Flowis, and he's always been he's just a beautiful kid, man. And
He is, man. That
he
kid has
is,
a passion for food that I really appreciate, man. That
oh
kid,
yeah,
boy,
he's my dude.
that's
Yeah,
he's got a passion. He has
yeah,
a passion for food. I
yeah.
love it. That kid's all right, man. I think when he starts emceeing, man, it's gonna be over, bro. That guy's, well, all your kids actually, all your kids are. My nephew said that he saw your kids at in Berkeley. He said they were breaking into a car and they needed like a wire hanger or something.
Yeah,
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But he said he saw your kids in Berkeley. I thought, what? He was all happy. It's cool when you see a mini Boo sighting, in Berkeley.
right. No, they were up there earlier. I mean, they had went on. They went for Dekbot's birthday.
What?
Yeah,
His ankle bracelet? They could take it down there?
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
He's got the best kids, man. That guy. I like those kids, man, yeah, the Techbot's a character, but he did punch a wall.
Right. Well, I mean, that and that's coming out of this this reality, right? Because you know when they came, when the invaders came and they did what they did, and however long they took to do it, it's over.
Right, right. The
It's
invasion's gonna
over
end.
because eventually some kid's gonna go through whatever they go through, and it just gets more and more, and then more people are gonna start making sense. It you can't change the frequencies that our ancestors studied for so long. They're not telling you that there's going to be 500 years of darkness if they hadn't lived through 500 years of darkness before. It all progresses. It all kind of spirals, like Daniel had mentioned many times, right? And we mentioned the Cipatli, right? The
And I
Milky.
think too, Ruben, think about it. As you, myself, Sky, Armando, as we find our way as men, man, it's gonna create a movement, almost like a wave, that we're gonna begin to work together. And it's not gonna make sense to steal or to lie. It's just not going to work for us because we're going to be people that are we're going to know who our people are, and it's already there. We're already moving that way, and it's just it feels better, because when you're in a good way, like you say, you come from your heart and you speak from a good place and you speak from experience. We're in our homeland. We're not foreigners to the land that we're from, and it's a very good place for us to be in terms of time, you know. And so I feel like every time the sun comes back, it's getting closer. If you think about it, we're moving closer to the sun. So it's definitely an
But
energy
it's
shift.
not a harmonious road. There's lots of challenges. There's not, you know, it's not it's not paved with roses.
No, of course not. Of course not. But you know what though? Anything that's worth anything takes work, and if it was a flowered road, then we wouldn't appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess it is it in a different way. The flower road comes with your accomplishments. That becomes a flower, right?
Right.
But it's not going to be like, oh, don't worry, everything's going to be cool all the time, every time. I mean, man, I'm getting texts right now
But
while I'm doing the show, and I still have to stay focused to what I'm saying and doing.
the thing is, Ruben, is that when you have an intention, it goes beyond, where we're at. It's a higher vibration because when our intention moves to a higher vibration, others can tap into that vibration. You think about the whole concept of me, myself, that's about an individual. Nobody can tap into that. It's when we open ourselves to something bigger, and so, it's just, it's when I come to empower you, not, I don't come to control you, you know, I come to see where you're going to take us. I don't come to see where I can put you.
Right.
And so and that's the thing I kind of feel right now that in the youth, I believe in the youth. We need to support them and give them the time and the energy and the opportunity that we had, because we're borrowing all this place from our youth. They're our future. Your kids are our future. Tlawis is our future, and so we just have to raise him and just keep feeding him, but let him go and just keep going, because the thing is, man, you think about that kid's the apex of all your family. You know what I mean? Everybody puts their 2 cents in with that kid. He's going to be the collection of everybody,
Yeah, the youth is definitely key.
I love the
right?
chat. Shout out to Ice Presto, Marco Ramirez.
I don't think they could hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear the echo.
Shout out to the chat.
Right
Shout
on.
out to Ice Presto, Word First, Balinquisi,
Yeah, the chat's cool,
um,
man. When we get a good,
Marco Ramirez, No
spreading us to
Palito.
all of Turtle Island and beyond.
Now, here we go again, Zero. Um,
Yeah.
what tribe are you guys from?
Doesn't
Now,
matter. Doesn't matter.
yeah, like since day one, right, Zero?
Doesn't matter.
But
Doesn't
I
matter.
consider
What do you
myself a
matter?
Michigan.
What do you want to know? What do you want to know? What tribal number I have? Why? I don't want to let you know what my slave number is. That's like asking me my social security number. Don't ask me that. You know where I'm at? My practices. That's what tribe I'm from. The practices, the disciplines, the commitments, the love, the control, the appreciation. I come from the sun. We all come from the sun. If we recognize that, then we'll start to find the answers. And then one day you will find, if you really want to know, one day before you get laid down into Tonantzin, they'll let you know. My homie Stevie, man, rest in peace, Mo. That brother was another individual, man. He had a hard, rough life. He was in and out of jail. You know, he chose a life of, you know, fighting his own people. But then he woke up. And before he went and passed on to the next life, he found out who he truly was, what tribe he came from. He even practiced a few ceremonies that they remembered. The road back isn't hard. We just have to have discipline and commitment to stay on it. It's not just a trend or fun, or it's not fun sometimes. It's really not.
Hey, but you know, too, Ruben, that homie Stevie, man, that guy dropped everything and had my back, man. And I just
Yeah.
like, I'll never forget that guy, man. I think it just, you meet people and they're just warriors, you know. And I always trip out of him. I always trip out. He's like, he had a tattoo of Hello Kitty, and I was like, Hello Kitty. He was like, yeah, it's for my daughter. And I was like, okay, shit, that was cool, you know. Like, he was just, man, he was about his daughter, you know, he was about his family, and it just, I don't know, man. It's just a good example, you know. And I was glad that I finally got to see him before he passed, you know. And
Yeah.
we had some business, you know, that we left unsaid. And so, man, it was cool for him to get that jade. I had jade that I had promised him, and so, man, we got some good pieces, you know. But that was just a good soul, man. Every time you mention his name, he's a very a true
Well,
warrior, you know.
that brother had a lot of heart, and I was
Totally.
shocked that he you know, shout out to Stevie Lopez. I really miss him. He's a good dude. But yeah, as we continue on this path, you know, you have anything to say, Daniel?
Well, I
Before
was
we
gonna say, man, it also reminds me of my cousin, man. It's been a year since he passed, you know, and just that type of memory, I think, it makes me appreciate, you know, everybody who's still here, you know.
yeah,
And
right.
it's sometimes that's what it takes, but I don't know, man. I just feel I feel fortunate to still be here. You know, I don't know, you know, I just do.
No, absolutely. I think that's a good message. As kind of we come to an end, like to really cherish life, you know, and
Yeah,
shout out to all those people that we've lost. You know, they've at least for myself, one way that I try to honor them and commemorate them is just to live out my life in a better way. Kind of like Zero was talking about, you know, growing every day. That's the best way, honestly, to show respect and to love to those that we've lost is to grow. Is to be a
right.
better person every day.
Right.
Absolutely.
And challenge yourself.
Challenge yourself.
Yeah. Challenge yourself, not in extreme ways, but you know, figure out a way to get yourself to a point where you're like, well, you know, I need to accomplish things, and that's the challenge. Challenges are so you can finish them, you can accomplish it,
Right.
right? Whatever that is, how subtle, how more intense it is, whatever it is, that's really up to you. But you know, like I said before, shout out to the chat, shout out to Armando and the Underground Hip Hop Blog, and shout out to Higher Knowledge, who's taking me out to Canada
Right
pretty
on.
soon.
Hey, and last but not least, plant-based at salon this weekend, man. I
That's
hope to
right.
see a lot of people
April
there.
7th, April 7th, Plant Based Aslan. That's a strong community on its own. Shout out to all the organizers that do that. And shout out to Malenali Superfoods, 4528 Whittier Boulevard in East Los Angeles. And yeah, as we move forward in this community, remember to share our message with others as best as you can, whether it's tagging them, whether it's, you know, feel free to make, you know, pulling things from the YouTube and making things for TikTok or Instagram. Feel free to do that. Just tag us. It's important that you tag us so that we can get the 1,300 subscribers and more.
Absolutely. And it's always funny when we're about to log out, we're peeking on our viewers. But remember, Plant Based Aslan, it's a free event, right, Zero? It's
Yes.
from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., guys.
Yes.
Make sure you guys pull up. You guys can meet Zero in person. You guys can meet Daniel whenever he's there.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I'll
Um,
be there, man.
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
and
It's a community.
get yourself familiar with, some vegan foods, and one of the dopest superfood spots in East LA. I think you guys are possibly the only one right there in the whole city.
That's right.
And don't forget the organic flour.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Daniel's got a lot of flavors.
Yes, I'm the man with the flavors. A fruit festival.
Well, once again, thank you, chat, for participating and sharing, your messages with everybody that's on the chat. I'm sure everyone's reading each other's messages and, answering them and being a participating, member of LA Natives Las Aslan community. And I don't mean Las Aslan in a negative way. I mean, like, once we start to realize, we'll realize that we live in Aslan, that this is
Right.
Aslan. The Aslan lives inside of you, you know.
We may
There's
feel
no,
lonely,
we're no
but
more, we're not these individuals that need to be, we're very strong individuals. We've accomplished a lot of things. We've been a part of everything, even movies and music and all that stuff. We've been a part of it. They just, for some reason weren't proud of, letting people know that they come from these places. But we're not those people. We really focused on that shift that happened in 2012.
right.
That wasn't a game for me. That wasn't a trend for me. When I decided to be my true self, my authentic self, I found myself in the Temescal with my children. And even that's over now. Life is filled of challenges. And the challenge is to get up every morning at sunrise and make that commitment to that giver of all dreams. Donatu. He came out when you were born and made that connection with you. What kind of connection do you have with it? Him, her, doesn't matter. What kind of connection are you going to create? I know the kind that I'm trying to create. And I wish that, or I know that my ancestor, my abuelo, Cuauhtemoc's prophecies were true and that we're in this time. So focus, commit, share, love, protect, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Tlazocamatli. Mateo.